What if I told you that one compromised password can give attackers complete control over an entire corporate network of 10,000 computers? Not just access to one machine. Every computer, every user, every file, every secret. Complete domain domination from a single stolen credential. Welcome back to Tech Sky. Today we're diving into Active Directory security, the backbone of enterprise Windows networks, and the crown jewel target for attackers. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Active Directory authentication works, how attackers exploit it, and why defending it is critical for enterprise security. First, let's understand what Active Directory actually is. It's Microsoft's centralized identity and access management system for Windows networks. Think of it as the master control center for an entire organization. Instead of managing users, passwords, and permissions on every individual computer, everything gets centralized. One place to create user accounts, assign permissions, control access to resources, enforce security policies, and manage thousands of computers. When you work at a company and log in with username at company.com, that's it in action. When IT pushes software updates to every computer overnight, same system. When you access a network drive and it knows your permissions, same foundation. Here's the critical architecture. At the center is the domain controller, the server that runs everything. It stores every user account, every password hash, every permission, every group membership. When you try to log in, your computer doesn't check locally. It asks this central server if the password is correct. When you access a file share, the file server checks with it to verify your permissions. Everything flows through this central point. And that's precisely why it's the most valuable target in the entire network. Compromise it, you compromise the kingdom. To understand the attacks, you need to understand how authentication actually works. Two main protocols handle this: Kerberos and NTLM. Let's start with Kerberos, the modern protocol. Here's how a login works. You enter your username and password on your computer. Your machine contacts the central authentication server and says it needs to verify this user. The server checks your password and issues a ticket-granting ticket. Think of it as a temporary pass that proves you're authenticated. This credential is encrypted and time-limited, usually valid for 10 hours. When you try to access a resource like a file server, your computer presents this pass to the authentication server and requests a service ticket for that specific resource. The server issues that new credential, and your computer uses it to gain access. Notice what's brilliant about this. Your password is only used once at the beginning. After that, you're using encrypted tickets. This is more secure than sending passwords repeatedly. But here's where it gets dangerous for defenders. Those tickets are encrypted with password hashes stored on the central server. If an attacker gets access to that database, they can extract every hash for every user in the domain. Now let's talk about NTLM, the legacy protocol. It's older, weaker, but still widely used for backward compatibility. Here's the problem. When you authenticate with NTLM, your password gets hashed, and that hash travels across the network. If an attacker is listening, they can capture it. And here's the kicker. They don't need to crack anything. They can just reuse what they captured to authenticate as you. This is called pass the hash, and it's devastating. Let me explain why this matters. In Kerberos, stealing a hash requires cracking it to get the plaintext password. In NTLM, the hash is the password. Steal it, you are the user. And this protocol is still enabled by default in most environments for compatibility with older systems. This is the authentication foundation. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and hype the video. Subscribe and enable notifications. Week 6 is where we fight back. Share this with anyone preparing for SOC analyst roles. In the comments, tell me, have you encountered Active Directory in your work or studies? Until then, this is Tech Sky, your ultimate battleground of cybersecurity and ethical hacking.